So please be advised we are now streaming on Granicus.
Okay. I mean, I think we're going to wait for everyone else to sign on. Thank you, Carlos.
I know Susan, she's on by phone, I think.
Susan's on.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. We'll give Kate another minute, and if she doesn't log on.
She has laryngitis and some sinus issues.
Yeah, I did just speak with her, and she didn't say whether she would or would not be on, but I wouldn't be surprised. She didn't sound that good.
Okay, well then, why don't we get started, Joe? The first thing on the agenda is your update. So I'll let you kick that off.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. It's a little windy outside, but not too bad, at least from my perspective. I just mentioned the numbers to start out with, the COVID numbers. The number of people hospitalized, at least according to the report today, as was the same as yesterday. 80 people are currently hospitalized. Not necessarily a good figure, in my opinion. Our local numbers, on the other hand, they're updating them every Wednesday now. So I won't have the local number until tomorrow, but as of last Wednesday, when it was updated, we had a running total of 119 cases. And that was only an increase of 3 cases from the previous week. And then, of course, you're aware from the previous week, we had less than, it was reported as less than 5, so it could be 1, it could be 4, but, and don't necessarily know what that was attributable to, whether we were getting credit for those false positives, but at least it carried over into last week's report of last Wednesday, and we only had an increase of 3 positives. So I'll report to you tomorrow when that Wednesday update comes out. It's a Wednesday, it indicates on the RIDA website that it's a Wednesday update, but it's a Wednesday-Thursday update. So I'll let you know when, as soon as that information comes out. The percent of people who have tested positive out of those residents who have been tested is 3%. We're down from 4%. We've had 14% of our population, our resident population, tested. All in all, not bad, but again, you know, we're one state, we're one region. That number 80 has me concerned, so we'll just have to keep an eye on it as we go forward. Any questions on that issue that I could help with? Hearing none, I'll just move on. Oh, someone, I see a hand up from someone, but
yeah, we have a member of the public who has their hand up. I was gonna take questions from the public at the end of Joe's discussion before we get into council conversation. But Justin, Councilor McLaughlin does have a question.
Am I muted? Can you hear me?
No, we can hear you.
Joe, thank you. This is Councilor McLaughlin. I just wanted to point out that Key West, Florida is roughly the same size as Newport. And they basically locked themselves down for much of the spring. They've got 525 cases in Key West. So, and you know, it's a tourist town like Newport. I wouldn't want to compare ourselves to that, but it's an indication of how badly things could be.
Yes, and it you know, just anecdotally, and I know we talk a lot of, we use that word quite often because a lot of our information is anecdotal. It's like walking on eggs. That's all I can tell you. Is I'm not. I don't think we'll ever be happy. And is the glass half full around here? Maybe, maybe not. It's just that we just got to keep an eye on it, and we got to work what we have within our control, which is not much, but we got to keep working the masks and all those other issues, but the signage and urging people to do the right thing and just continue to hold our breath. That's all. But anytime I see, a tick up of only 3 positive cases, that's, I guess we can, in the moment, for a fraction of a second, rejoice, I guess. But only for that fraction of a second. Masks is the next topic that I put on, and I continue to put this on because, and I know it's probably getting very redundant maybe for some of you and old, the information, but because we continue to pursue a program of requesting people that they mask up, particularly in our downtown areas. The volunteers were out in force this weekend. We have the state has recognized our efforts, and they made an inquiry of me early last week about what do we need in support, and I told them we could probably use some additional supplies, and so I'm going to be picking up on Friday an allotment of 4,000 cloth masks from them, with a promise that between now and December they will reserve 8,000 additional masks for us as I was out handing out masks at Karate Park on Friday for 3 hours, and I phone metric with a couple of little clickers of people in and out of Karate Park wearing masks, and roughly 600 people had masks on. The number of people that didn't have them on were in the low hundreds, and my metric came out to 84% were wearing masks. The state is also, by the way, going to provide some additional supplemental signage that RIDO is having, RIDOT, Department of Transportation, is having manufactured. I requested some bilingual signs. Susan, I know she's on the line.
Joe, can I interrupt you for a quick sec? I've had a couple of blips here where our lights have blinked off, and the computer has as well. So if you lose me, that would be why. The storm is really, coming on pretty hard right at the moment.
So, the rain is kicking up pretty hard all of a sudden.
I know lost for a second. So anyway, okay, we're back.
Meeting may go south pretty quickly, or not south, but whatever.
Could I do the resolution then, just so that we can?
I was just gonna say, why don't we tackle the 2 resolutions, Joe? We'll just hit pause really quick and do the 2 resolutions.
Is that okay?
Yeah. So I think that we should have time to do both, because I don't think the first one will garner much discussion.
Right.
So I actually lost power, so give me 1 second to just get my flashlight on. So, yeah.
Also, please be advised that Granicus went down when we lost power as well. So I'm working to restore that.
Okay, you're still recording now?
The Zoom, I believe, is recording, but not Granicus.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So this resolution that we have put forward is for a continuance of the state of emergency. Oh, wait,
All right.
sorry, I read it wrong. Yours is first, Lynn, I apologize.
That's okay.
I had them in the wrong order. So yeah, Lynn, Councillor Segley, why don't you take the floor and introduce it?
Okay, I'm just going to introduce this resolution. Whereas the dangerous health effects of COVID-19 pandemic prohibited the Newport City Council from meeting in the City Hall chambers starting on March 23rd, 2020. And if you hear my cat crying, I'm sorry. He's just a kitten. And whereas the City Council met all state of Rhode Island open meetings requirements using the Zoom platform from March 23 to June 24th, 2020. Whereas public participation in council meetings using the Zoom remains strong. Whereas on July 8th, the council voted to convene meetings in the City Hall chambers using a council chambers Zoom hybrid necessary to comply with Rhode Island's social distancing requirements. And whereas the COVID-19 numbers continue to hold steady in Rhode Island, putting staff, et cetera, at risk. And I'll just go to the resolve that the Newport City Council return to the Zoom platform starting August 12th, 2020 until the public can fully contribute or until the public can fully contribute or until the COVID-19 epidemic numbers lower to satisfactory levels. And be it further resolved that the council thank the administration staff for their hard work during this very challenging time. I move.
A second.
Thank you. There was a motion by Councillor Segley and a second by Councillor Taylor. Is there discussion by any of the council on the resolution as presented? And if you could raise your hand via the Zoom app, councillors, if you do have comments. Councillor McLaughlin.
There we go. Well, in the original resolution to move to in-person meetings was mine. It probably should come as no surprise to anybody that I still believe that that's what we should be doing. It's my belief that this is more of a technical challenge than it is a matter of safety. And I want to keep my comments, low key, but I'm going to be with the police and the fire and the people who have to work in the hospital and the people we expect to work in our restaurants and our retail stores. All of these people, and for that matter, those of you who have gone out to hand out masks, or all the people that come and shop in our stores and go to our restaurants. It doesn't strike me that we should be unable to meet in person with reasonable conditions. If there's a problem with the meeting getting out to the public, that's a technical problem. And in a city with a budget of $130 million or whatever it is, I should think we could fix that technical problem, because otherwise I don't know how long this is going to go on. And it was my hope that the council would provide leadership. After all, there are other boards and commissions that need to meet more robustly than they may be meeting now. And I thought that we would be providing a pathway forward to show how this could be done. So I won't be voting for the resolution, and I really wish that the council would continue to meet in public. And I think we do a better job when we meet in public. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McLaughlin. I would say I think that we'll be able to improve the way that we meet in public. I just don't think that we're there yet. And I know that the city manager and the IT team have been working really hard, and they also are investing in both hardware and software to make the experience better. But I think that until we have that up and running, I do want to move back to Zoom, only because of both times that we met, there have been pretty decent sized technical difficulties, which until we're at a point, which I think should probably be relatively soon, but until we're at a point where we can hold a meeting that goes off without a hitch, where we know that everyone in the public can hear us and everyone that is on Zoom and everyone can hear each other. I don't think it's right to be meeting until all of that is possible. So that's where I stand on that. But I will say I don't think that this is an end to us working on being able to meet in public. I know that the staff is working on that. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate what you're saying, that basically I think for now, let's say given the next 3 meetings, that we should commit to doing those on Zoom, but it's impossible to think that we're going to be meeting on Zoom until there's a vaccine. So I think that the technological issues need to be worked on, and I'm confident that with our talent and expertise, we'll be able to sort that out. I would hope that this could be revisited, let's say, in the middle of September.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Segley.
Yes, I just don't see any upside right now in going back to the chambers when we're having, I mean, I think if these technical issues were easy to solve, they would have been solved by now. And so I think that there needs to be more time. Maybe another platform could be explored. I don't know, but I just see our technical staff pulling their hair out trying to make it work for us, and it's just not working. And I think that from a leadership standpoint, you know, I think that our meetings on Zoom have actually been very successful, and I think we've had more public engagement through this application than we have even in the council chambers. And I think that we're actually cutting off public engagement by not doing this completely on Zoom and doing the hybrid. It just doesn't make sense to me right now. And if the numbers were even going down for this pandemic, but they're not. They're inching up, and they're holding steady and inching up. So I just don't see the point in it right now. And I want the public to remain engaged.
Thank you, Councillor Segley. I am going to move to some comments from the public, especially because I know that we've lost a couple of councillors who are probably trying to call back in. So, Carlos, if you can bring in Elizabeth Fuerte. Oh, what was that? Elizabeth, if you can take yourself off mute, if you could, and introduce yourself with your name and address for the record.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I so apologize. I must have raised my hand unwillingly, but I do hear the proposal, and I hear the resolution that the city council is proposing, and I would agree that it is in the best interest of our citizens in Newport right now, especially because of the tourist season has gone crazy, and we've seen a lot of our visitors, you know, not wanting to wear masks. I think it would be the essential thing to do, especially for the locals here. And I appreciate the council bringing this up. Thank you.
Thank you. I also want to ask Carlos, Councillor McCalla has let me know that she is called in as an attendee and has asked if you can bring her in as a panelist. Do you need her phone number?
I do need her phone number, please.
It is 401-290-8370. Councillor McCalla, can you hear us?
Yep, I'm all set.
Okay, great. Thank you. Councillor Taylor, I know that you had an additional comment.
Thank you. I just was thinking that we could check with the League of Cities and Towns and find out what other municipalities are doing with regard to the technology, perhaps gain some wisdom that way. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. I'm also going to ask that the city manager comment, because I know he's been working with the staff on trying to work through the issue and figure out the problem?
Sure. Joe Nicholson, city manager. The league is not doing much different than what we're doing. North Kingstown, for example, they have the staff on site, the councils Zoom in. We have obviously the hybrid. We think the technical issues are, I'll say 98% resolved in terms of the problems that we had in the last meeting and the meeting before. We'll be running some tests, excuse me, this week. So I want to just assure you that, whatever you choose, we'll have the technical aspects of it under control pretty soon. We do ultimately plan on gravitating to a different, better system. Just as an aside, I know that Gerard Galvin, I hate to drag him in on this, but was on a Zoom call today, a continuing education seminar with the federal courts that are, and the seminar was, having a Zoom trial, which is something we'll probably mimic with our respective municipal court and probate that's going to be resuming actually in about a week and a half. So I just want to tell you that we think we've got the technical issues resolved or soon to be resolved. So I guess I just leave the policy deliberations as to what the appropriate engagement is to you all.
Thank you. And I'll say that I think that goes to what, myself and others were mentioning, that it is doable and we can get there. We're just not there yet. So I do think it's better to move to Zoom, back to fully on Zoom until we are there. Councilor Taylor, did you have another comment?
I do. I'm intrigued with the concept of the Zoom trial. So Joe and Gerard, was that going to be a hybrid with some of the trial events occurring in person in the courtroom and some on Zoom, or was it the entire trial being conducted by Zoom?
The example we were given was the federal court conducting a full bench trial where everybody was participating by Zoom.
Okay.
And in the court setting, I think that is certainly achievable, and I think we'll be able to move in that direction on the municipal level. It's still going to be a little bit more problematic when we're talking about the zoning board and HDC, where not only will you have applicants and some objectors you might know about in advance of a hearing, but you're also going to have to be ready to receive objections, evidence, and other information on the spot. And that's a different problem in a bench trial in federal court. The expectation is every party is going to be very well prepared. All the exhibits will be entered in the record prior to the trial starting. That's a luxury that we won't have in a zoning board setting or an HDC setting where the public is invited to come that night and express their objections or concerns on the spot. And that's where we're having a little bit of difficulty in dealing with some of the zoning board applications where we know there's a significant objection and the public has to be given that access that night to object, and how we process all of that information on the spot as opposed to a well thought out, well planned trial matter with well-prepared parties well in advance of the trial date.
Right. That's the distinction that I saw. So it's not, yeah, there's still that question up in the air about getting the public and how to engage the public when they want to make comments spontaneously. Right. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if Councilor Napolitano was able to call back in. I gave her the number. I just didn't know if we wanted to check before we voted. Now, this is an example of some of the issues that do occur with Zoom. Nothing is perfect. So while...
May I ask a question? Would it be, I get the sense it's understood that we will be revisiting this again, and I'm wondering whether we want to build that into the resolution, that we bring this back for discussion at a certain time frame. I don't know how my fellow counselors feel about that.
Counselor Taylor, sorry, Counselor Second, go ahead.
She's calling in as a panelist, as a attendee, so we can have her online in a minute.
Okay, can you provide her number to Carlos so that he can make her a panelist when she calls on?
Yes. It starts with 439.
Thank you. Counselor Taylor, I think that we don't need to move to have that to amend the resolution to include that. What I think a better method would be to have the city manager include an update on where we are in the technical deliberations during his regular COVID updates that are both, these separate meetings, but also part of the regular council meetings.
Sure.
I mean, I suspect I'm going to give you, we're going to run our, trial runs again, our practice sessions, and I suspect I'm going to tell you next Wednesday that the technical issues are worked out. So I just want to tell you that there are policy issues here in this technical issues. I'll work out the technical stuff.
I think Jean is on as an attendee now.
Yeah, Counselor.
I am.
Okay, great. Did you have anything you wanted to add to?
Yeah, until today's meeting, I was all for this. Not doing Zoom. I can't believe it. I got knocked out 4 times and now I can't seem to get back in. It is difficult at City Hall with the partitions, with the heating or the cooling or whatever, but I mean, temporarily, I'm not sure, we are approaching hurricane season or strong storms. I don't know what is right at this point. I'm just a little upset. Maybe it's this meeting that's stewarded it.
Could I just
because
say,
I did. Go ahead.
The fact of the matter, though, is that even though you are calling in, everyone can hear you. At the meetings that we have had, people could not hear Kate. People can't hear the callers on the Granicus site when after the meetings are recorded. So there are far more issues than what we have encountered this evening. So I just want to bring that up.
Yeah.
And also, as
Issues
Jamie
that we
said,
can probably
we're going to keep working on this. So
yeah.
Until we can have Kate and the public participate fully, I think this is the best way to go.
Thank you, Councilor Segley. I think that really, that's really the crux of it. It's for me, it's not wanting to be in the chamber. It's wanting to be able to make sure that the public can participate and understand and follow, because we have to understand, we have to be realistic that we will, for a decent amount of time going forward, have limited public participation. So I think that's really, in terms of being present in the chamber. If there is no more discussion on the council, I will call the vote on this. Okay. Councilor Segley?
Aye.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Nay.
Councilor McCalla?
Aye.
Councilor Napolitano?
Aye.
Councilor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova? Aye. The motion passes 5-1. And the second resolution that we have on this agenda is a resolution that would reaffirm the emergency power of the city manager with regards to the declaration of the state of emergency, and that it would extend the time period for an additional 60 days. and the council reserves the right to revoke this power at any time during that period, I move passage.
Second.
Second.
I made the motion and there was a second by Councilor Taylor. Is there discussion on the council? I know that some of you obviously can't raise your hand because you're on the phone, so.
Okay, where do I go?
Councilor McLaughlin, you can just go ahead if you have a question.
Great. Trying to figure out which hand to raise. So I have a question for the city manager. And that is, can you give us a listing of the specific actions that you've taken since you got this authority, over 127 days ago, that the council could not have handled in an expeditious way? And I'm thinking of things like the sewer break down at Long Wharf several years ago, where we had to have an emergency meeting and spend $12 or $15 million. I mean, the council has the wherewithal to conduct meetings on short notice. So I'm just curious as to, how many things have you actually done that you wouldn't have been able to do if you had to rely on the council to come together and provide you, authority to do something on short notice?
Sure. Joe Nicholson, city manager. The only issue I would say would be the restaurants breaking out into the odd formations that they are in, into along the Broadway corridor, as well as along the same street corridor in America's Cup and the like. I don't think the council could have done that in an expeditious manner. I think we'd still be at it. But that's the only example that I can come up with regard to that. I haven't had to exercise any other emergent powers in light of the council being able to gather as they have gathered. My only thoughts on it ultimately is, what's the prudent thing to do? What's the right thing to do? If you had asked me Friday, I would have said, nah, I'm not that, it doesn't bother me too much that those powers aren't there. And indeed, I could declare them tomorrow under the statute for another 7 days, at least the way the statute reads. Today, with the 80 hospitalizations, I'm not, I guess I could say I'm not a happy camper in terms of whether I would need to do anything in the short term. So the only example I can come up with is the aberrations with regard to the restaurants and the liquor licenses and limitation on outdoor entertainment, all those things that we worked very hard on at the beginning of the pandemic. And things will.
Joe, you're breaking up. I don't know why.
I'm probably breaking up because we're having problems also in the Broadway corridor at the police station with radios and things like this. We had a lightning strike close by, so maybe that's what it is. It's breaking up the internet. But if I'm a little closer to my computer, almost on top of it. So I think the only example that I can give, Justin, is the issues with regard to the restaurants and the entertainment licenses and things like that. And I suppose the corollary to that is if I needed to take some type of enforcement action with any of these places, which I have not had to. I had to have a discussion with some of them with regard to the regulations, the COVID regulations and the local regulations. But other than that, interactions with those types of places, I haven't had to exercise any type of emergent powers, just because you guys we've been able to get on track for the most part with meetings. And as I said, Friday, I guess I would be ambivalent about it. Today, I'm a little nervous because of the hospitalizations. If the hospitalizations are, another 10 next time we speak, I'll be even more nervous and anxious to do something to try to address issues. And indeed, it goes along with the local cases as well in terms of COVID. Do I need to act in any quick fashion? Now, again, as I said, I could, under the statute, I could declare an emergency tomorrow for 7 days, and then you'd have to either decide to reaffirm it or not. So it's a little bit of an knock more on this resolution, but I know that many of you wanted to speak about it, and some of you felt more comfortable that those powers were intact. So I offer that to your question.
If I may, I thank you for putting that in context. I'm not sure. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I get too close, I get an echo. I would have thought maybe telling the arriving votes what they had to do, that you may have taken some action in that area. But
Yes, I did.
I wanted to put it in context. I wanted to give you an opportunity to explain how you've used it, because I don't really think it's necessary. I think the governor has defined the terms of the playing field, if you will. It's her executive orders which are going to basically determine what we do. I mean, if the pandemic explodes, we're not going to be passing any local legislation. She's the one that's going to be telling restaurants to shut down or what have you. It's not, I don't think it's going to be us. And I actually don't agree with you with respect to the dining on Broadway. I think that's something that could have been brought to the council, and we could have adopted a resolution, an ordinance. We could have done something in relatively short order to allow that to happen, which I think it's a wonderful thing that's happened. I look forward to making some of what we've done in short term more permanent going forward. But my own sense is that after 127 days, I don't see enough evidence of the need for this resolution, and therefore I don't see the need to support it going forward. We are the government, and I really feel uncomfortable about shifting our responsibility to somebody in a way that looks like we're abrogating our responsibility to actually sit and be the government. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McLaughlin. Councillor Napolitano. You're on mute, Councillor Napolitano.
How is it now?
Good.
Good?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. You know, I probably, you know,
Did Councillor Napolitano freeze for everyone or just me?
For me as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah.
Now she's gone.
Okay.
No, there she is.
Oh, Councillor Napolitano.
I'd like to raise my hand.
Councillor Taylor, why don't you go ahead while we let Councillor Napolitano sort it out?
Thank you. I just think of early June when the governor's instructions on masks were capable of a multitude of interpretations. And I felt so strongly that the city, I feel like you guys have all heard this before, but I am going to reiterate it. You know, the city needed to make a clear stand that we don't think you can social distance on Thames, America's Cup, etc. And we passed our own rule. We did a resolution, and the next day, Joe instituted the executive order. You know, our numbers are going up, and or our numbers are at least worrisome enough. I just would like to see Joe maintain the authority to do what he, to use an authority that I think he has used very wisely, and he has come to us for, you know, the sense of the body at a minimum when he's been making these decisions. I'm going to support the resolution.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Napolitano, do you want to try again? I'm sorry, Councillor Napolitano, you're on mute. We can't hear you, I'm sorry. Why don't we...
Lower left on your screen. Lower left?
There it is. I'm
There you
just
are.
trying. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfectly.
No?
Oh, you just turned yourself back off.
Okay, can you hear me
Yes.
right now?
Yes.
All right. You know, I'm thinking the amount of decisions that had to be made, certainly there's no one person on this council that could have made the number of decisions in regard to businesses and otherwise. Considering that we have the opportunity to go back, if need be, to make things that the council is meeting more regularly and making the decisions, that's fine. But I have to say that I really applaud the manager for the amount of work day and night. There was no time that I couldn't call that he wasn't working on something or changing something. And we certainly don't have the administrative ability in the city, and that is his job. So, you know, I'm very supportive of the resolution to allow the manager to continue on that basis. I just, you know, this has been overwhelming for everybody. And I think he's done a very good job. And I would be.
Carlos, can you unmute me on my phone? It ends in 3979 because I'm about to lose internet.
Well, Jean has frozen for me, but Jamie, you're still alive and well.
Well, I know, but I know that my battery backup on my internet's going to die soon, so I'm just calling in via my phone. So I'm just going to call the vote. I'm going to call the question. I know that everyone has lots of comments that they want to make, but I think it's prudent just to call the question. Councillor Segley, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councillor McCalla?
Aye.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Nay.
Councillor Napolitano, if you're still on. Okay, Councillor Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bova, aye. The motion passes 4-1. I think that at this time, although I know that we probably would love to hear more from the city manager on what's going on, I think it's probably best to close the meeting unless anyone has any objections to that. And if you do, please just verbalize them because I just lost Zoom on my computer. Okay, I am hearing no objections, so we can close the meeting. And if the city manager has anything urgent that he wants to make sure we're aware of, I would ask that you send the council an email with that information.
Sure.
All right,
Yes.
great. Thank you, everyone.